Good evening. Good evening. I'm Larry Souter, and welcome to Stories of Amazing Grace. We're coming to you from Bixter Chapel at the Madison Church of Christ here in Madison, Tennessee. Thank you for joining us online and being a part of our live audience. And if you are in the Nashville, Tennessee area, come visit us on the first Wednesday of each month, 6:30 p.m., right here at Bixter Chapel, and watch Stories of Amazing Grace. Our theme scripture comes from Romans 8:38 through 39. I am sure that nothing could separate us from God's love, not life or death, not angels or spirits, not the present nor the future, and not powers above or powers below. Nothing in all creation can separate us from God's love for us in Christ Jesus our Lord. Well, our guests tonight are Rex and Brenda Morgan. Since the fall of 1980, Rex and Brenda have been supported as missionaries by the Madison Church of Christ. Their journey of sharing Jesus began in high school and the workplace and continued in Papua New Guinea and also with the Latin Americans. Rex is a gifted Christian radio, TV, and social media producer. He has programs like Con la Biblia Abierta with the Open Bible and La Vers Allegri, which I didn't pronounce right, but he'll help me with that later, translated The Happy Voice to his credit. Both programs and others are reaching countless people in the Spanish-speaking world. Rex firmly believes that mission work is not just for missionaries. It's a role we all share in spreading the message of Jesus to the ends of the earth. Rex and Brenda have 3 married children and came all the way from Florida to be with us tonight. And you'll meet the Morgans right after this. Please make welcome Rex and Brenda Morgan. Come on up. Welcome, welcome. Have a seat. Thank you for being with us. Give me your hand there.
Hey, there
yes,
you
sir.
go. Turn my back to the camera.
Well, long time, no see.
Yeah.
But we have known one another for several years.
1990, I believe.
Was it 90?
I think so.
That's
Maybe
a long,
91. Maybe.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Well, how did you two meet? How did you two get together?
Well, we were in high school together. And you want to share what you want to say?
Oh, yes. I wasn't really looking for a boyfriend, but there was this dynamite-looking guy that came out of algebra class before my class, and he had these electric blue eyes, and I thought, wow, I wish those eyes would look at me. And he would walk by, and he had kind of a bad boy reputation, and here I was, Church of Christ, elder's daughter, only allowed to wear dresses to school. This is 1971. And I thought he'd never look at me. He was on the court at high school, you know, that sort of stuff. And I thought, oh, he'd never look at me.
Until I came out.
You were a Christian, he was not.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
How did she convert you?
Well, it all started when I walked into the gym. I just came out of wrestling practice. Walked into the gym. I was going to talk to my sister, the captain of the gymnastics team. And there was this beautiful girl doing her acrobats up on the trampoline.
Of course.
You know, in her uniform, you know, so she wasn't wearing a skirt, so we'll have to say that. Yeah. So she caught my eye, you know. Next thing I know it, I was asking my sister, hey, you think she's got a boyfriend? Yeah, well, why don't you introduce me to Brenda? Yeah, that's how it all started.
Wow.
Oh, to follow up on what you asked.
Yes.
2 months of dating, and then she finally said, you know, it's just not going to work if you won't sit down and read the Bible and study the Bible with me. We're just not, no way. 15 years old to take that kind of a stand, you know. I took a big, deep sigh and thought about it, and I started studying my Bible. So that was how she began teaching me about Jesus.
Yeah.
Your first missionary work was where?
Well, the very first was Marathon, Florida,
Okay.
where we would drive there in our first year of marriage. And I was working in a textile factory, so we would drive down every Sunday and preach 2 sermons and come back. And then I ran out of sermon outline books, you know, so I better go to Sunset School of Preaching. So we went out to Sunset School of Preaching, and from that experience, we decided to go to Papua New Guinea.
Why did you decide to go to Papua New Guinea?
There was a group there that had a missionary in Port Moresby, and they were calling the sponsoring church and saying, we just need help. We need someone to replace the missionary that had returned. And so that happened before we met with Madison, and we were with that church for a couple of years, 2.5 years. And then we came and met Madison back.
Well, let's talk about Papua New Guinea. He brought some pictures. Let's try this first one there.
Okay.
What is going on here? Food, I guess.
Yeah, so this is what they call a muumuu, and we were greeted by everyone excited that we had arrived, and this was the traditional way of cooking food. They would dig a big hole in the ground, put river rocks in there, throw a fire in there, get it all heated up, then lay banana leaves in there, then the pigs or whatever, if it's chicken or whatever, and
The vegetables
vegetables all in there, and then they wrap it up, they cover it up.
with banana leaves.
With banana leaves, yeah.
And this is Brenda?
That's Brenda.
And Lance?
Yeah, that's Lance.
And I'm pregnant with Michelle.
And that's Jameis showing us how to eat.
Okay. Okay, let's try the next one there.
There were never any plates. You
No.
just used
All with
a
the
leaf.
hands.
No,
All-
a leaf.
Oh, leaf.
Yeah.
A leaf.
Okay. Friends of yours?
Yes, this is up in the Southern Highlands with the Tari village that I was teaching and preaching in, on a bush patrol that I was on, and they honored me by allowing me to put on their headdress, which is made out of their woven hair. And, you know, I didn't start itching or anything, so I guess that was okay. But, you know, these guys just were really proud that we were there, and they, you know, opened the door for us to share Jesus with their village. So, and we see, you know, some coming to Christ through those trips.
But this wasn't a village he just got to by riding in a truck or a PMV.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a bush patrol.
It was a bush patrol, so some of the bush patrols we would fly into a grass airstrip, and then we would hike for 2.5 days to get to the village. And we would work with them for a couple of weeks. While Brenda's at home taking care of the kids, doing all the hard stuff, I'm out there crossing mountains and
Sure.
having fun. you know.
And there's absolutely no contact. There's no
Really?
phones. There's nothing.
No,
Yeah.
there's no way to.
I was
get
in Papua
touch.
New Guinea. I told you that or not?
Yes.
I visited, stayed
Yeah.
in a hut over there. Where I wasn't there. You were there 4 years? Two to
About 5.
5
Total
years.
of 5 years.
Okay, I was there a week, but
Yeah.
that was
Okay.
it was eye-opening. Was
Well-
was it a cultural shock when you first arrived there?
I would say definitely, you know. Yeah, definitely. So we were working with, in the city to start off with, the capital city of Port Moresby,
Right.
and all of these major centers, there's, you know, a few large cities, I could say towns really, and people from the villages would come in to those cities. Now you have to realize you have villagers that have 700 different languages, they're warring, so one mountain group is not speaking to the next, and the communication there is very difficult. So they're all now in town, and so whatever.
Cannibalism had recently been.
Yes, cannibalism was.
Yeah.
Did that end in the 50s?
No, 1968.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We got there 10 years later, so we were okay.
You still have you still have your arms and everything. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Well, they believed if they ate their enemy, they would get the strength of their spirit
Really?
in them, and it would make their tribe stronger.
Yeah.
It was very spiritual, too.
We're trying another picture here. You're teaching here. Both of you are
This is
teaching.
up in Manyamya, up here, and today there are 3 large congregations out from here. This was a bush patrol. We had 19 baptisms. And the amazing thing with technology now, you know, we are with smartphones communicating through Facebook with some of the people that we taught all those many years ago when we were in Papua New Guinea. So we've renewed a lot of our relationships just through Facebook. So this is Wapanoko with me, and he's translating for me. I'm speaking in Papua New Guinea Pidgin. You
still remember it.
Yeah. So we understand how to speak that language. But the village language, then, there's a lot of people there that didn't understand how to speak Pidgin. So he would translate into their village language. And then there's Brenda teaching children. That was her Bible class in Port Moresby.
And the ladies.
And the ladies, yeah.
Yeah, we just sit out under a tree, and they would bring their mats and put them down, hold their babies, and nurse their children and let them run around. And I would do my best to teach them about God. God did the rest.
What's a dominant religion in Papua New Guinea?
Depends.
Or is there
Well,
any?
if you go tribal, you're looking at ancestral worship.
Ah,
Okay. Then there was the cargo cult.
yes.
During World War II.
Explain that.
During World War II, very first time a lot of the natives ever saw an airplane, fly over. The troops had arrived. They're dropping parachutes with cargo coming from the sky. And a lot of the people there at that time, they just thought it all dropped out of heaven, you know.
And they'd never seen white people.
Yeah.
So they worshiped the airplane coming over in a
Well,
sense.
when they buried their people, they didn't bury them. They'd put them up on stilts, and the bones would turn bleach white. And so when they saw the North American troops coming in, they thought they were their ancestors bringing them gifts.
Yeah.
I see. Interesting. All right.
That's the cargo cult.
Yeah.
cargo
Now the
cult.
other religions, they sectioned off the country. You had the Lutherans, the German Lutherans. Then you had, Catholics. You had SDA. And then we came in, and everybody geographically said, this is our territory. But we came to just teach Jesus. And some of them didn't like it when they put on the bus, "Sos belong Christ," which means, literally, the church that belongs to Christ. Okay, so they're like, well, what are we, you know? So those kinds of tensions. One time I was preaching up in Goroka in a market and got hit with a brick and found out it was the German Lutheran people. Yeah, didn't appreciate me. Yeah, so things like that happen, you know. But
Was Willie Franklin there when you were there?
yes, we invited Willie in for a citywide campaign, and on my second tour to go back with Madison, we went there, and that week we started a campaign with Willie Franklin. So we invited him the first time. After we returned, Willie ended up being a missionary for several years there.
I've forgotten the fellow who was with him. Remember his name? They were both football players, ex-football players. He died of cancer, I think.
Okay. I don't remember who he
I
came.
forgot who it was.
When we were there, it was Woody Square, and they
But
were
Willie
pretty
was
close.
black, his friend was white, and they kind of played off of that with the Papua New Guinea people.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about Ken Shoup? Did you know him? He was a missionary.
Know the name.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I
just made that up.
Yeah, we were kind of like first wave, you know. You want to see if I was on my toes. Okay.
Most of the people we worked with were Canadian,
Really?
because Joe Cannon was the missionary who'd come to Papua New Guinea in 1971.
71.
And the Church of Christ had no presence there at that time. And so he set it up with the government. The government wanted to know, you have to have your doctrine in to get certified by the government. You have to have it on file, what your doctrine is. And he said, we need the Church of Christ doctrine. And he's like, well, here it is. He took out the Bible from his briefcase and said, put that in your file.
Yeah.
Or you could have got a songbook and looked at the 5 steps.
Well, Joe Cannon was my mentor, and just he was a missionary for 24 years in Japan immediately after World War II, before he came to Papua New Guinea. Can you imagine what that was like?
Yeah.
You know, so
He was a hoot, too. He had a compound there that he kept a crocodile in the pit. Then it was like a pet.
Cage pit.
And everybody would come to look at it, and then he'd get them to come to church.
Yeah. That's right.
The Garoka show. Tell us about this. This some pictures I had when I was there.
Okay. So what they do is they get together for Sing Sing, a competition. You know, we have sporting events, and they have some too. But this is a competition. Instead of the payback system of an eye for an eye, please, let's have competitions like this and see who does the best dress and the best dance and routine. So that's an idea, and it's flourished, but it hasn't stopped the tribal wars.
But what it was Papua New Guinea is a British Commonwealth. And so they were under Australian rule after they were under British rule. And so the Keops and the patrols that they sent to keep the tribes from going at each other came up with this event. And so this is the Sing Sing, where they would each do their bilas, the feathers and the beautiful shells, and paint their bodies, and a lot of pictures you can't show because the women have no tops on.
Yeah.
I know.
It draws a big crowd.
I know.
And you.
I stayed there all day.
I was thinking about
Well, there was
that.
a way in the village to figure out if the young lady was at the age of accountability.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyhow, this is one way that they've tried. But if you've looked at the news lately, it's still very violent. And people are told by our government not to travel there. There's travel warnings.
You mentioned payback. Tell us about payback.
Well, I'll tell you, it is so ingrained in their culture, the tribes, that no matter where they're at, if someone has been killed by another tribe, then they're going to pay back and kill that person. One of the tribal wars that we witnessed was a result of them wanting payback, and they're trying to negotiate. And we're on the way home from church and driving our bus and taking people home from church, and we come around the corner, and then there's the Gumini Chimbu tribe on one side and the Tari tribe on the other. And we had members from both tribes in our congregation, so we had a lot of prayer with them. And one police officer they didn't have guns over there. They had their stick, like the British. So just one police officer in the middle. By the time we got home, we got in our house, and we were about 2 blocks away from where this is taking place, and they are rushing with axes, spears, and they're chasing each other through our property, knock down the fences, and that's just a part of who they are. A fellow that worked with me, teaching me language early on, he was killed recently in the last 5 years due to a payback, and they cornered him into a store. So it's still a real part of their culture, and sometimes they come to peace, and they'll do it with money, or they'll do it with offering so many pigs, which is very valuable, and that would be a way that they would make peace. And I had an experience like that. I was in a village and was woken up in the middle of the night with a spear that was thrown into the door of the hut, and it opened the door. We woke up, and this guy had come back drunk, and the only way I could make peace with him was to come out and offer him. I had a steak in my backpack, and so we made peace through a meal here at 2 a.m, and who let you stay in my hut, and they gave us permission, but they didn't ask him, and he wasn't anywhere around. So we made peace, and we ended that little war that we had.
You had a house over there, I assume, that you stayed in.
Yeah, we had a house. We actually built a house. That was quite an experience. Had 5 carpenters, 1 skill saw, and we built this 2-story house, or remodeled everything. And Mel Bowman was an architect there 2 years at a time, and he would say, all right, here's your plan, do this, I'll be back in a week. And so I learned how to build our own house in New Guinea, and we were very close to having it finished when the tragedy in our life happened, where our youngest daughter died suddenly.
We have a picture of your family here.
Okay, so here's our family, all 4 of our kids here, and Laura passed quite suddenly, and
The next month.
The next month, yeah.
And then Rachel, our oldest, got violently sick the same way Laura was, and she was hospitalized, and they were able to get adult IV into her leg.
What did she have?
It was an unknown virus.
Unknown virus,
Just
like
a
Just
virus.
hit her hard. Could have been cholera. Could have been big unknown virus.
You're in a hospital that was built during World War II. You know, no
Yes.
supplies, no
Yes.
IV needles. You know, and so that was the situation there. And so she passed, and you can see us being loved on by our members. And you know, so Joe Cannon and his wife lost a child as well when they were in Japan. And they sat down with us and they counseled with us. And they said, we know you have a love for Latin America and for Cuba, because I've talked to him about that in the past. And he said, what does the gospel say? What does the Great Commission say here different than what it said in Miami? And he said, so get up and go and reach Latin America. And so this is my mentor talking to me, like, it's all right to make a change. And he had made a change himself, you know, at times with where he was trying to reach, you know. So he said that, and he said, now, how are we going to take the loss of your beautiful daughter and turn it into something that will bring glory to God? And he said, this looks like something that could give purpose. So with that, got my tissues in my back pocket, you know. Of course, I'm not telling you anything that you don't know about feeling of the loss. Yeah.
And we have a shot here of Miami.
Coming back
and
to Miami.
you titled this Miami Recovery.
Yeah, we really tried to bring normality to our children. Coming back home, you know, they were in this culture, they just lost their sister, and so, you know, we got them involved in activities right away and tried to get them, and so they had competitions at pool and everything that summer after we came back, and this was part of our healing, you know. Yeah.
Well, that's Rachel, Lance, and Michelle.
Right.
Right.
And Michelle's a minister's wife. So
Teacher.
She's a teacher. And two of her sons were with us on a trip
To
with
Baja.
some of these folks right here to Baja. And actually, we've had three of her sons have been to Baja on a trip, and Lance's oldest son was with us 2 years ago. So we're trying to take our grandkids. So we want them to have that mission experience. You know, we want some of that to rub off on them. And they all love the Lord, so.
And you did work in Hialeah, and we got a shot here of the church meeting in a school. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's where we initially really started. We started in a congregation, and we had to get closer to the center of Latin Americans. So we rented a school, and we had growth then. One of the ways that we really had growth during this period of time was having small groups on Wednesday nights, because we couldn't get to the school. We didn't have that option of a building. So during that period of time, we had quite a bit of growth. And it's almost like, should we go to a building or should we stay there? But it's much more convenient to be at the building that you know, in Hialeah. So this was the beginning.
And in the back, I think you could see Ephraim. We were looking at that closer.
Yeah, he's
Because
in
there
that.
was a team that Rex had gathered around to help do the work.
Yeah, we formed a foreign-style mission team to reach foreign cultures coming to Miami. And our congregation ended up with 18 different nationalities of Latin Americans in one congregation. And so with that, we had to, and with the vision that we had, Miami, the gateway to Latin America, was our vision. And we wanted to use any tool possible to be able to accomplish that. And these people that you see here, many of them and others that became Christians, are people that participated in the television program. I mean, they participated
Later.
they were the they were the people in front of the camera.
They were the talent.
And you want to get your members, like you're doing here, involved, you know, with media. You know,
Bring them up here?
Here we are.
Maybe so.
Up here, you know. But you do
Give them
that.
a purpose.
You're both fluent in Spanish. Is that natural for you to learn languages?
You know, I think it's a gift.
Perhaps.
Is it?
It's him for him.
It's natural for you.
Somewhat, but I think it's God's Spirit working in me as well, you know. I think He's given us talents that just are unearthed, you know. I mean, I got D's in Spanish,
In high
in high school.
Really?
You know, I didn't have purpose.
I
and I
see.
was taking it in high school. But once I had purpose to share the gospel of Christ, then, yeah.
What did you study it
Yeah.
later, or did it just come by
No,
talking
no.
to Spanish-speaking
No,
people?
I
We took
went to
it
the-
very serious.
Took it very serious. Went to university, St. Thomas University in Miami, and studied there. Then I studied at FIU, the language, and from there, started preaching.
Now, while in Miami, you taught in the public schools?
Yes.
What did you teach,
When
Spanish?
we returned from New Guinea, I decided, what am I going to do when the kids start school? And I decided to go to college. So I was 30 when I started college. And I decided to be a teacher. I wanted to be a speech therapist, but they didn't offer it in South Florida. I'd have to go to Tampa. So I decided to be a teacher and have summers with the kids and really a lot of the weekends free to help with the work and everything. And so I went on and got my teaching degree, and I got my master's and went on to get National Board certification. So I enjoyed that track for 20 years. I was a second, third, and then middle school 6th grade teacher of English.
Buddy Reagan.
Yes, another mentor of mine.
Yes, executive producer of Christian Productions when I worked here, and
Yeah.
also with the Open Bible TV show. I recorded hours of him talking about his life
I watched
before he
every
died.
night. Yeah, I watched every
Oh, you
night.
watched that?
Yeah, we
I
did.
And I was
Sure
going to
did.
say he mentioned you in there as, I forget the exact words, you probably remember what they are, but being so creative in Christian media and being like the #1 person in the world that
Oh, that maybe is.
is a pioneer in Christian media. And that's true. As I've looked over some, your Christian Productions International, I keep saying incorporated like what we were, but you stole that name. But anyhow, that's okay.
International.
That's okay.
International.
International. But there's so many good biblical helps on there for people.
Yeah,
And,
and
we
we keep on.
we got a shot of a page of that website.
Okay.
That doesn't do it justice,
All right.
but
Yeah, so we have several. These are like small, short pieces here. Then the hour-long radio program. It's a magazine format we do with the World Christian Broadcasting. And they tapped on my shoulder several years ago, like 15 years ago, and said, "We're building a station in Madagascar, and we're going to have Spanish." I didn't know they spoke Spanish. I said, "No, we're going to have one that goes all across Latin America." So anyway, that was the birth of La Voz Alegre, the happy voice, and one of the fellows that worked with me, Jose Castillo, for 10 years. Now he is the senior producer for the program, and we collaborate every week together to get those programs still going up in Madagascar and being broadcast every week. So this is the website. It's also an app you can download, just La Voz Alegre, your app, or go to lavozalegre.com.
in Spanish and English?
Well, in English, go to the website and go to cpioutreach.com. It'll get you to the same place, and then you can navigate in English or Spanish, but then you'll find English content. Some of the newest English content that I have in there are the gospel films by the Lumo Project.
Yes, seen those.
And so we have a contract with them to allow us to put those out in 10-minute segments. And so we're sharing that every week, putting it out on Facebook. It's the word-for-word scripture being read and acted out by actors in North Africa. And they do a great job. And, it's for the visual age, A lot of people aren't wanting to read, but they'll listen and watch. And this has been a real addition to our app and our website. It's interesting how things work. Buddy Reagan took me to the National Religious Broadcasters Convention back in like 92. And in Washington, D.C. He took Ephraim and I there. I learned about that conference, and by going to that conference on a regular basis, it's continued to open mind up to what are the capabilities that we can use to spread the gospel through media, whether it's television, radio, social media, or apps, And so way back then, Buddy Reagan still has an influence today, And so we met they call it Bible Media Group. We met them, and they said, we just need to write up a contract. And so we have freedom to use it, and the audio can be also used for radio. So that was another great perk there. Yeah.
Let me play a short clip of La Voz Alegre. Pronounce that for me.
La Voz Alegre.
Sure. And also with the open Bible. It's 34 seconds. Let's roll that.
Tú le importas a Dios y a nosotros también.
Por eso te sugerimos escuchar La Voz Alegre, un programa de radio ameno y diferente.
Cuidado, nos salva. El bautismo que corresponde a esto ahora nos salva más, eso se complementa, nos salva.
No quitando la inmundicia de la carne.
Bueno, pero termine la frase, nos salva.
Remember him?
Those are
Coming in
old.
5, 4, 3, coming in 3, 2, 1.
He loved to have his hands done for makeup, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, he was very
And the
particular. Yeah. So, well, then, the TV program, we had 137 programs that we produced together, Larry.
And they were produced where?
They were produced.
I know where they were, but I'm
yeah,
asking
well,
you.
here at Madison, and then also some of it in Hialeah. A lot of the on-location shots.
Due to the generosity of this church, because they were very expensive.
Yeah, this was a very expensive operation. So, 137 programs being produced to the quality. Now, you guys, you and Buddy said, we need to have a magazine format, and that's what's unique about this television program. You had an opening tease, you had a Bible question, you have an opening, then a montage that was followed by the answer to the Bible question. After the in an office setting teaching, and then into a kitchen, and a close, so all that magazines all happened in 29 and a half minutes, and it was a real program that was really moving, and the professionalism was so good that I walked into stations all over Latin America, and the only thing that got us on the air was the quality of that broadcast, the program.
You know why the quality has held up all these years?
Yeah.
You know why? Pantyhose. Pantyhose.
Yeah?
Oh, that's true.
That's right.
You put it on the lens.
Yeah, you put them on the lens. That's right.
And the lights.
We couldn't afford a filter, so we put
That's
pantyhose
right.
on the
Pantyhose
lens.
on there to get that soft look. Yeah, that's right.
And it makes the lighting more even.
Yeah.
And it just looks a whole lot better.
Yeah.
you go.
Okay.
It's got to be a certain type of pantyhose.
We did have
I don't
Bill
know, Larry.
Hayes. Was that one of Bill Hayes' inventions?
Bill Hayes.
Bill Hayes, yeah. So he helped us produce the first.
They were
pilot
held on
program.
with the rubber bands. He would stretch it across the lens and put a rubber band around it.
That
They
was
look
one of Bill
wonderful.
Hayes. It did,
Do you have a videotape of you going in and purchasing them?
What?
I think it said Bill. I think that was
He
one
said
of Bill's
Bill.
things.
Tell us about the impact of with the radio program and this video with the Open Bible now.
Yeah, so all of those
And
programs.
through World Christian Broadcasting.
Yeah, we have Andy with us too, the president of World Christian Broadcasting and beloved brother. And, the impact that's going on every day. We're on the air, going out on shortwave to start off with, And I actually wondered, back then, what's a shortwave broadcast going to be? Here in the United States, we don't have SW in our car, shortwave, but we did in New Guinea. But not here. And so, I kind of wondered. But when they flipped the switch on in Madagascar, the month after that, we got over 450,000 hits in our website in 1 month. And I thought, oh, what are they doing? Oh, they got, in one hand, they've got their cell phone, their smartphone, and the other, they've got their radio, and they're being navigated over to the website, and then we're getting all these hits, So that was like the beginning of what La Voz Alegre and the broadcasting there. And it's just reached.
We just heard from Madrid and
Yeah.
Colombia. People are calling him now saying, can we use your stuff?
Yeah, they want to use our radio programs
They want
in
permission.
Madrid. Yeah, and also in Colombia.
Do you have a staff of people working under you to take care of all this?
No. I have a partner in Jose Castillo, and we have relationships in Latin America. We have a team working together in Cuba with some of the voices you heard there were voices from Cuba, and they're actually doing broadcasting. They're creating the productions. But not only that, our team there has helped, had to answer a call from the government, and the government was, we want to have a meeting with you. So there you are in Cuba, a lot of prayers going up, thinking about that. And they said, well, we just want you to know, we like your radio program. It's not political. And we are putting together a media project, and we have a radio station here. You can use it if you want, to do your recording. We have not used it because we don't want them to take control, okay? But they opened up another door. I say they, it's the Lord, you know? The Lord just opened up one door after another, and that's been the history of everything. So God opens up the door with them, and they say, we want to use all of your content, your audio, your video, and everything in our entertainment package that we put in jump drives, and we deliver them all over Cuba.
That's how they get TV to the masses then, not through an antenna or
yes,
cable.
That's their version of cable television.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's just brand new. So we don't have a whole lot of how is that
But they came to
going.
you for that. They came to you?
They came to our team in Cuba. They came to us after studying our app and studying also the website and saying, this is something we can use.
Huh.
And,
Especially the stuff on the family.
Yeah.
Teaching people about God's plan for family is unique, and it stands out in a godless country.
Yeah. 26 programs on the family that we did together. So that's gotten me into more doors than you can imagine.
Right.
Even a Catholic television station in Quito, outside of Quito. And so, why should we put your program on the air? You know, and I said, because of Vatican II. You say, open your Bibles in your home now. That's what we have, is an open Bible. Oh, we have 26 programs on the family. Could you use those? We were on the air for a year with the Catholic network. So
Amazing.
yeah. So we were on the air through the TBN Spanish network called Enlace for 15 years in 23 countries with the TV program. So that's had an impact. I guess you could say from Miami to Latin America during those years we had TV. 78 congregations throughout Latin America and the States have been established during that period of time there.
Have we prompted any questions? Be ready. Anthony is biting on the mic, ready to come. He's ready.
So I understand you're celebrating 90 years. Madison is celebrating
90 years
Well,
in December.
And we've been blessed to be a part of Madison for half of that.
44 years.
44 years.
44 years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You don't look a year over. How old are you?
I am turning 70 next month.
Whoa.
And learning how to do social media and everything's keeping me young.
We got a fine gentleman back here with a question.
Hello.
Good to see you guys. Can y'all talk some about Cuba? Because I've been with you in Cuba and all that, and it's just such an exciting place. And Gregory's been there I don't know how many times, but can you talk just some about Cuba, how you got involved with that, and what that's all about?
Yeah. So back in 2001, 5 weeks after 9/11, that was when we had planned to go to Cuba to start a Bible Institute. We had a branch school of Sunset International Bible Institute established in Hialeah, and we felt like now is the time to do it in Havana. And so we went there to hold the very first class in Havana, and Roberto Pino, who is the director of the Bible Institute today, he was in our first class, and he's been the director for several years. The Bible Institute has graduated, I'd say 250 plus preachers across the country. Some are here stateside now preaching in congregations. So the work there has been amazing over the years. We started using the TV program. We went in with VHS tapes, and to get through customs, it was a real challenge. I guess for a couple of hours it seemed like they kept on watching the tapes. So the officials there coming to the airport were the first to see Con la Biblia Abierta, the TV program, as we were coming in. And so we finally got them in, and then we were able to use them as masters, and they were duplicated one at a time throughout the year, and then distributed to the preachers that were across the country when we had a preachers conference. And so we're using media once again to spread the gospel one tape at a time that became one disc at a time as we put them on. We brought in a DVD duplicator when that technology came in. They almost didn't let us in because they said, it's got seven hard drives. You're only allowed to bring in one hard drive. Had one, as you know, but it had 7 drawers, so we had to do quite a bit of patience and trying to not offend them that they didn't understand the technology and everything. But as finally we got it through, and they started duplicating those and spreading the programs in DVD form around the country. And so this has been one step at a time. We distributed jump drives, several years ago now, and then
Solar
now,
radios.
yeah.
The solar radios programmed.
Solar radios and solar Bibles, which...
We were tasked with bringing solar Bibles in maybe 5 years ago or so.
Solar Bible, explain that.
It's
I'm lost to something here.
Yeah, it's just a
Audio Bible.
audio Bible, and it's solar powered.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was for the blind school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so they confiscated them. After I had to stand there because they separated us in the aduana, and they went through they spread all of the solar Bibles out there, and they would touch them one at a time, and it would come on. En el principio, Dios creó el mundo. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And they'd touch another one. They'd say the same thing as touch another one. And they'd look at me and they'd like, well, what else do you have on these? I'm like, it's the Bible. And here is our documents with the invitation to go to the blind school. And then they would bring in another official in a very important looking outfit, intimidating. He would start all over again. They would bring in another and another, trying to get you to change your story. And it's just one story. Finally, the guy said, enough. Came in, and he had a red satchel, not that color, it was like Russian red. And he loaded them all up, and it cinched it up, had me sign it. He cinched it again, and they took it away.
Yeah.
We had to cancel the program.
This young man back here has a question.
Yeah, I don't think you know me, Rex, but
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, Jen.
tell the people about the app. And not everything on there is in Spanish. There is English content, videos, the almost feature film type quality things that are on there. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we have in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. We have the films that we've been talking about, the gospel films. We have the covenant films as well, and we're getting ready to put in the Book of Acts. It's being produced today, right now, due to come out any minute. So that'll be something that we're putting in there. We also have an animated series for children, and you can even download a coloring page for those animated Bible lessons. We have 10 Old Testament, 10 New Testament, and that is gifted to us by Good News Productions International, way out in Joplin, Missouri. So some of the people that I've known over the years have said, hey, you're free to use this. So we put that in, and I've just added The Chosen. First 3 seasons, we have The Chosen in English. We don't have it in Spanish, but we do have it in English. In there, we have the Bible Project. Anyone familiar with the Bible Project? Mm-hmm. So we have that there in Spanish and in English. And so you can go in there and get your scope of the Bible or book of the Bible, and it's all illustrated and very well narrated. And so they've given us permission to use that as well. The app is, from the app, I will send, one, I'll post one into Facebook. So I'll put one of these movies on Facebook and
Then he wakes me up, he says, look at the count. And I'll say, how many was the last one?
Yeah, 574,000 impressions in the last week and a half on that one video.
What suggestions would you have for the Spanish-speaking community in America to reach them using the same materials or a different slant or what?
We have tried
or even for the English church to reach English-speaking people. What suggestions do you have?
Yeah. Well, I think that as far as using our technology and the things that we're using, your experts are with the technology and the social media. They're all sitting right here, aren't they? This group right here, the young people, they really do it. So I think one of the things I would do is to make sure that we know how to share on social media and to do it in a good way. And they can go to the app and they can just share to their Facebook page, and then they can send them one of these movies, these 10-minute segments out there to friends and family. I think as far as the anytime we want to reach Spanish speakers, whether you are only English or only Spanish, you can share the app and just say, download the app and share with them the content that's there. And you can navigate all of our stuff in English. I make sure that you can navigate it in English. So, that's years ago when I was in the factory and I was working, as a foreman, I was teaching Bible to some of the employees of my Cuban friends. This is before I went off to school. And I'd have a Spanish Bible and an English Bible. And I would read in English and have them read in Spanish. Well, guess what? Now you have an app that'll do all that for you. You just got to share it, you know. And technology has brought us a long way.
Challenges of being a missionary wife.
Yes.
Any challenges?
Or just Rex's wife.
Yeah, actually Rex's wife.
It can be lonely.
Lonely.
If you allow yourself to go that path, because the missionary's wife is often in a place where no one else has similar interests, because you're giving of yourself. You're elevating the other culture and pushing your presence into what you hope represents Christ. And it can be easy to be diverted from that because you're really never alone. God's always with me, always been with me. And in that bonding, I think created such a beautiful relationship that it's being a missionary's wife is a blessing. I could never be a minister's wife. I'm too earthy and sassy and say the wrong things at the wrong time.
But you could be a missionary wife.
I told him I could be a missionary wife because my two aunts were ministers' wives, and I saw their lives. They moved every 3 years. They had a lot of things that looked like they were not maybe having as much in the decision making of where they lived and how they lived and the money, everything. So when he decided, because when we got married, he was not going to be a minister. No. He was going to buy me the big house on the hill, and I was going to have the big car, and I was going to all this stuff.
Moving in the textile industry.
Yeah, he was moving up. And
19 years old, supervising 60 Cubans.
But what I didn't realize is that I too had the seeds of a minister in me. And when he told me his dream, and we started going down to Marathon, little teeny church, that they would serve the worst lunch to us, like a ham that came out of a can, remember the keys? And they'd plop it on and then slice it up and give you a piece of bread with it.
Where's the conch fritters? You're in the keys, right?
But I think that's it. I think we all need to be activated. That is our duty to replicate. We're not being called to just be and to be nice, and we're called to replicate Christ. And I think that energy makes everyone important. Everyone has a mission.
See, she was a missionary before me.
Yes.
Yeah, she converted me,
Yes.
so
Well, you're 70 now. What's next?
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, whatever
Keep
the Lord
on
calls.
keeping on with what you're doing?
Well, I just have to work on a plan.
Okay.
I need a team. I need a team to come in and
we're praying about that.
Yeah, we're praying about that, yeah. Because we do not want to see everything shelved. We want to see it can continue to grow, and we have a lot of young people that can, I think, step in and see that happen. I think that we'll probably, here in your own church, you've got Spanish speakers. I don't know if the Lord will raise up someone, to say, hey, this is really something good and would be beneficial for the future. So we're praying about all that.
And I'm trying to get him to consider doing a how-to for some of these ministry schools, like that are down in Quito or down in Baxter, down in Honduras, different places, where young ministers could learn how to harness social media and other things for the glory of God.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Well.
Yes, sir. I'm an evangelist, and I've been to St. Paul, Jamaica, and I want to know how can you do y'all have anything that we can reach more out to, as myself, to reach out to the Hispanic community?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, as far as if you could download our app and navigate it in English, okay? You can actually find the app if you'll put in Christian Productions International in your app store, and it'll take you to La Voz Alegre, which is kind of a nice thing that's happening.
And out on the table, they have the cards.
And then there's cards out on the table that you can use a QR code and go right to it. And
Just share them with your friends,
Yeah.
and they can just go right to the gospel films.
the artwork you see on those cards is Brenda's painting. And
It's
so
a hobby.
It's her hobby. So she creates that way, and I create the app. so,
I hope that blesses you.
Yeah, God bless you in your ministry.
Anybody else? One final picture here of your family. There it is.
Yeah.
How many we got here? 15, 20?
17.
17.
And we are a family. Well, I'll tell you, this was our 50th wedding anniversary.
Last year.
Last year. Now we've been married 51 years. And so our youngest here in the middle has just started middle school. And then we have 5 boys in high school. And then we have Brianna, our granddaughter, and Luke. Luke is our grandson, married to his wife, Callie. Yeah.
Be fruitful and multiply. Certainly have.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us.
Well,
Thank you. Well, I want to close with a scripture from Romans 10, 14 through 15. How then can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can anyone preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. You've got good feet. Thank you for being with us.
Yes, better feet.
Take time this week to share your story of Amazing Grace with someone, and we'll see you next month on Stories of Amazing Grace. Thanks for coming by.